Now, I think, okay, we've got audio now.
Okay.
It's all good. It's all good. Thank you, Lindsay. I was going to tell you, I was going to send you a text and ask you if you was okay, and I was on the air, but she was telling me that you're not on the air. She couldn't hear me. You should be able to hear me now. I guess I should have flopped over to the Facebook page, and I never did that because we started down a rabbit hole. Nick Saban played there from 70 to 72 at Kent State.
At Kent State.
He was a graduate assistant, 73, 74, linebackers from 75, 76. Then went to Syracuse, West Virginia, Ohio State, Navy, Michigan State, Houston Oilers. His first head coaching job was at Toledo for 1 year. Then the Browns, defense coordinator. Then Michigan State, LSU, Dolphins, and Alabama.
Okay.
And he only lost 71. He only lost 71 games in college.
So he will be at the draft in Detroit. We're talking about the NFL draft coming up on Thursday, so he'll be on set.
Yep, that was my understanding. I think I saw that right.
Because they do two things. They do their NFL people on ESPN, and then on ABC or ESPN2, I guess ABC. They have the college guys.
Yep.
They got Herb Street and they have Reese Davis and I guess Nick Saban. So that'll be interesting. They'll have two separate coverages. I mean, they won't put Mel Kiper on with Saban.
Right. I think we have sound. Would somebody verify that for me? I'll put it this way. If we don't have sound, they've at least got subtitles.
Okay.
I see the subtitles scrolling across the bottom here. So you're saying that is Lambert the only one out of Kent State?
He's the most famous to me.
Okay.
He's the most famous player. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I think they've had some actors as well.
Okay. Well, I don't know about that, but I just know like they're the most famous football
I can
player.
give you another one that's pretty famous.
A football player?
Yeah. How about Julian Edelman?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a quarterback.
I think he was.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the top player when you look at Kent State alumni is Jack Lambert. That's the first one you'll see. I don't really recognize him.
And the reason for those that are tuning in or can hear us now, the reason we brought that up is our guest at the bottom of the hour in a few minutes is going to be the head women's basketball coach at Kent State who cut his teeth at Lenore Ryan, Todd Starkey. How
about Antonio Gates? Is it a different Antonio Gates? This is tied in on Antonio Gates.
Interesting. He played
Kent
basketball.
State.
Okay.
So he played basketball at Kent State.
He may have.
Got another one for you. Another Pittsburgh Steeler.
I don't know.
Edge rusher.
Edge rusher from Kent State. James Harrison.
Yes, kind of. I was going to say what the giveaway clue would have been. Kind of hard to handle and manage.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of want to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah. They've been pretty good out of the MAC. Antonio Brown played in the MAC. That league is they do turn out some good players.
Oh, here's a good one. You'll remember this one from the 70s. Don Nottingham.
Yeah.
Running back for the Colts.
Yeah, the bowling ball.
Yep. I remembered that name.
So, with the draft coming up on Thursday, I heard this stat today when I was coming down here. They're expecting the first round of the draft to be heavily on the offensive side of the football. Good tackles and wide receivers and whatnot, and quarterbacks, obviously. Maybe 6 in the first round. They say some of the NFL experts say this is the greatest quarterback draft since 1983. I don't believe it.
Well, wait a minute. But here's the thing. Is it the greatest quarterback draft or just maybe the most quarterbacks that are going to be taken in the first round?
Okay, maybe that.
Because Cowherd says if there are 6 taken, 2 will be stars, 2 will be serviceable, and 2 will be bust.
If that.
And some of that will depend on where they go. He thinks anybody that goes to the Patriots cannot succeed because they're not going to get one of the top quarterbacks, and they don't have anything to give them to work with.
Here's the stat that blew me away.
Okay.
Since 2010, there have been 42 quarterbacks that have been taken in the first round of the NFL draft. 42.
Okay.
You know how many won a Super Bowl?
Since what year?
2010. 14 years.
Yeah.
You got to have a franchise quarterback. Where do you get your franchise quarterbacks normally? First round.
Yeah.
One quarterback out of 42 taken since 2010 in the first round only have won a Super Bowl. That's Mahomes. 4 have made it to the Super Bowl. You know how many head coaches have been fired over that? 23 head coaches since 2010.
See, I don't understand why it's coaches get fired, because they usually don't get to pick unless you're Belichick.
Yeah, well, you know.
All right. Now, we got sound. People are hearing us now. Thank you for letting me know that. We had enough issues, and it was really not an issue. It was just a setting that was wrong. We're going to take a break. We come back. Todd Starkey will join us. We'll go back to our college women's basketball coach. Back in a moment.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit mooneyinsurance.com. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call Fort Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. And welcome back. Glad to have you here on a Monday evening, bright, shiny Monday evening, but a little bit cooler than you would think.
Hey, I like
end
that.
Of April. I do too. I like it a lot. Let me head over to our guest line, bring our guest on, patiently waiting for us, Coach Todd Starkey. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Juju, my friend, how are you?
Coach, doing quite well. Thanks for joining us again. Hey, a great season. I want to talk a little college basketball, women's college basketball. You're coming off one of the best seasons that Kent State has had in a long, long time. Tell us about it and, all the great things you guys did this year.
Yeah, it was an exciting year for us. Obviously been working towards this. First time in 22 years Kent State women's basketball has been in the big dance. We've won some division titles. We've been to 4 at WNITs, but couldn't quite win the conference tournament. And, one bid league, you got to do that. So we were able to do that. We play our conference tournament at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse where the Cavs play. So fun to win it in an NBA arena and then head off to the big dance. It was exciting.
when I was doing a little bit of research for this interview today, I did not know this. I know you cut your teeth in coaching at Lenore Ryan. How did you? I didn't realize you're native of Ohio. How did you make your way from Ohio down to Montreat, where you were playing and coaching?
Well, I started actually at Mars Hill. I was at Mars Hill for 3 years, ended up transferring over to Montreat and finishing my degree there, and then and that's where I actually started my coaching career for 5 seasons as an assistant coach on the men's side there, and then came down to Lenore Ryan, was an assistant with Brian Lentz for his dad, John Lentz, on the men's staff for 2 years before getting the head women's job. So it was Lenore Ryan's a special place to me.
Yeah, and you were a tennis coach too, were you not?
3 years. Neil McGahee, had me start. I played tennis at Mars Hill for a couple years as well, and so Neil asked me to be start the women's tennis program back up, and did that for 3 years in parallel with coaching basketball, and then stepped into the women's head coaching job there full time.
Hey, this you mentioned about the team that you had this year, and there's some special things that you guys have done. You were all part of the popularity, the great surge in women's college basketball this year. Talk about that and what it was like this year to go through that kind of season where women's basketball got all kind of publicity this year.
Yeah, sometimes things align in the perfect order, and, our first time back to March Madness, to the NCAA tournament, happened to be in the most popular year in women's basketball history, and we can thank Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers and Angel Reese for some of that. We actually played at LSU beginning of the year, and we're in a tight game, took the lead in the third quarter, so we had fun down there in front of about 12,000 people, and then just the resurgence of women's basketball, how it's really just taken off, I think has a lot to do with the fact that women are typically staying all 4 years in college. They're able to make sometimes more money in college basketball than the WNBA, and it leads to a fan base really being able to get behind young players as they stay through the program.
We're talking with Coach Todd Starkey. Coach, this is Lanny Ford. When you talk about that, I read something or saw just like a headline getter today of the, lack of a better term, pay cut that Caitlin Clark took to leave college basketball to go to the WNBA. I've said since NIL came along that it's really, except for the people that are just looking for the one and done, it will help some of these players stay in school a little bit longer because they can't make it in the NBA. That's so hard to make it in the NBA or the WNBA.
Yeah, the NBA is kind of its own thing, and I think they've got a number of different leagues where guys can not even go to college and make some pretty good money. With the women's side in the WNBA, the league max is around 300,000, and some of these players are signing NIL deals, NLI deals, and through the collectives they're making more than that. So when we played LSU, they had an NIL valuation on their roster of about $4 million. Ours was about zero going in there, but it's pretty crazy what they can do and what they can come up with. So it's from a financial standpoint, it's pretty lucrative. Nobody's feeling sorry for Caitlin Clark. She just signed about an 8-figure deal with Nike going into the WNBA, so she's in a good spot, But for a lot of these young women, they're able to make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 by staying at the universities that they're playing for, as opposed to going to the WNBA.
And the thing is, just like you said, the thing that helps get you to those championship games is having players around for more than 1 year, building some continuity and chemistry around, and that's shown itself for years, and that's one of the reasons I think Coach Cal left Kentucky, because it wasn't working. The teams that are being successful are the ones that's got some maturity to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's something to be said for that, where if you look at UConn on the men's side, their team, they had a lot of continuity, players that were back multiple years, same coaching staff, and that matters. Same thing with Purdue and Matt Painter is having Zach Edey come back now for his third and fourth year. Those type of things matter. On the women's side, Iowa, South Carolina had turnover, but theirs was due to graduation. And the players that were there and were able to win a championship with South Carolina women's basketball have been players that have been in the program 2-3 years. So certainly was the case for us, and how we were able to really kind of make it through. It came out yesterday, Kent State women's basketball has the lowest transfer rate in the country. We've only lost two players in the last 4 years total. And so I think that really speaks to building a team and the continuity of a program and being able to play well in March when the games matter most.
I was going to ask you, that's kind of like a follow-up question. What are some of the keys? How do you get kids to stay in a mid-major program with the kind of success that you've had? What are some of the recruiting things that you talk about?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to double down on being a truth teller and creating a culture where it's hard for players to want to leave,
Oh, yeah.
And then, we talk about that with our players, is really trying to find really good fits for us that make sense, players that that you can tell have good parents that are going to tell them the truth and tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, and then be able to really create a culture where they feel valued, 1 through 15 on the roster, and understand that this situation is a really good one. And they can go look for things other places, but they hear stories from their AAU teammates and stuff like that about situations maybe that they're in.
I agree 100%. And I think the biggest thing is you've got a lot of kids that are coming into college ball now that are starting to take an honest evaluation of who they are and where they are as far as their sports career is concerned. And they're understanding that I can't get to that, but I can get to this. And I think that's why you're having, you're making a fair evaluation and an honest evaluation, and these kids are understanding.
Yeah, we've been fortunate. I've been blessed with a really good staff. We've had most of our staff stay with me the whole 8 years that I've been here. We've got 2 former players that played for me at Kent State that are on my staff now. And I think when parents and players are looking for a situation, they're looking for some of that continuity where there aren't players that are leaving all the time. And the one thing in the recruiting process that's important as well is that you're kind of the same person in the recruiting process, that when they get to campus you don't change. So we try to stay pretty consistent with who we are in the recruiting process and not make them a bunch of promises that we can't back up. So it's worked for us. That's not to say we won't have some players in the future that get an opportunity to move on and in the right situation, but we've been fortunate with that, and I think that's led to a lot of our success.
Coach, we appreciate the time you took with us, and best of luck in the future. I like the way that you're building things there, and nothing but great success ahead of you.
That sounds good. Miss Hickory and Lenore Ryan, as always, go Bears, and I got to throw in a go Flashes there as well.
Absolutely, Coach. Maybe we'll see you. Fingers crossed. Maybe we'll see you in October, if you know what I mean.
Man, I'd love to be back down there in Hickory and on campus at Lenore Ryan for sure.
All right, Coach. Thanks again.
Thank you, Coach. We
All right,
appreciate it. That's Coach Todd Starkey, and he's doing it the way college sports is supposed to be done.
Yeah,
that's the way they're doing it.
It can be done.
Oh, no.
You're right. It can be done.
Let me take a break, and we'll be back in a moment with Coach Sosha and get a little update on what the recruiting is like and the portal that's going on right now. Back in a moment.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. And welcome back. Right back at it here on the bottom line. We'll go ahead and jump back to our guest line, bring our next guest on. He's head coach at Lenoir-Rhyne University, the Bears, Coach Doug Sosha. Coach, thanks for joining us.
You got it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
You know, I think I gave some breaking news to Juju here this afternoon. Did I see something come across from the Hickory Daily Record that you signed a running back out of Drawn High School? Is that am I close?
I think you're close. I gotta reference back. I can't really speak upon like any new signees if they're not like through certification. But
got you.
We've signed a really good recruiting class, and certainly we've taken some commitments over the past few days, so you're probably right.
Well, I figured if I saw it in the paper, that's why I said, well, maybe I'm good to ask him about it. But I understand completely. How have you felt about how it's gone so far with the portal?
I think the portal is, I think it's a tool that can be used. Certainly, we're all learning how to navigate it, and it's really an interesting dynamic because we've got some guys that are constantly, studying the portal and seeing where guys are coming out of, and guys, where they're getting offers. And, the unfortunate thing about the portal, it can really benefit grad transfers. Undergrad transfers, not so much. And, a lot of teams, in the end of the day, if you really look at it, are really trading backup. If a guy's disgruntled at some places, and they're not getting the playing time, they're going to jump in the portal, and then they have to replace that guy that was battling for time. So, the portal can be interesting. Obviously we're all, riding through it right now, and, it's an interesting deal every day. Guys are jumping in the portal, and, we're navigating through it. And I would say that, we're committed to recruiting high school athletes. We'll use the portal when necessary. And that's kind of where we're at in college football. It's kind of a wild deal. Obviously there's an elite level of football that have massive, NIL dollars that are, getting their players, and that's certainly happened at the, the elite level of SEC, those powerful programs, and and then everyone else is just trying to navigate through and see what's left, and everyone's just kind of having conversations and talking about character, and we're all just trading players right now, so it's really an interesting deal for college football.
It is, but the more that it goes on, and we've done this for just a little while now, but this thing so many people were afraid of, but I think it's working out to what you said. You're not having star players that are jumping from team to team. You're not having a guy that led your team in rushing. That's usually not happening unless they're a graduate. They've graduated and move on.
Right.
And so I think a lot of the things that people were concerned with are kind of taking care of themselves. If you're moving, there's a problem somewhere, either with the player or the program, but it's going to be hard for somebody to bite on that again. I had a former GM at the Panthers tell me he was not big into free agency because if somebody was in free agency, that means they didn't get along with where they was at. Why do I want to bring them in here? So I think other than looking for some specifics, it's going to work itself out, and by continuing the recruiting like you're doing, building from the ground up, it's going to make the programs much more stable when you're getting away from those top-tier programs with a lot of the NIL money.
Right. I agree with that. And I think who really loses in this is that there will be a lot of guys stuck in the portal that maybe left a situation that they could have stayed and just battled it out like we always used to have to, right? But now we've given them this out. So I think there are some guys that will lose in this, and unfortunately it's the young people. But that's what's been created, and that's what we're dealing with, and so here we are.
Coach, big picture, we didn't have a chance to talk to you since the spring game. What did you think about the spring game and where your program is at going into the offseason?
Yeah, I think, we're right where we need to be. Certainly, we're all into roster management right now. So obviously we opened up talking about the portal, and, we're in the middle of exit meetings. I've met with probably 80 guys since our spring game. I've got about another 24 to get to. But certainly spring football, 15 days, I felt each and every day was an opportunity for us to get better. I think these guys had a really good attitude. We put in a new offense, put in a new defense, put in new special teams, new faces. I'm a big relationship guy, so I feel like our staff and myself have really kind of dug into these kids, and we're challenging these kids to dive into us and get to know us. And, I think as we continue to move each day, there's more and more trust in the building, and then there can be a relationship, and obviously then we can love them and coach them really hard and get them where we need them to be. But super pleased with spring football. I can tell you that probably one of the best spring footballs I've ever been a part of in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Even at my last school, obviously the new spring was probably really exciting, and then as things got going, maybe we had some ups and downs and some challenges, but I think the last couple of springs I've been a part of, and certainly this one's probably my best one.
We talked a little bit just a minute ago. When you do hear, or maybe tell the listeners and people who are watching the program, when somebody sees something social media wise that somebody's now jumped into the portal, from a coaching perspective, is that a surprise to you, or do you have conversations with some of these players and you kind of know where the direction they're going in before they jump in the portal?
Yeah, I mean, within our program, we've got several guys that have decided to, jump in the portal. I've had conversations, and I think I've got really, foundational relationships with some of these kids, and every kid has their journey.
Yeah.
And I would look at it like there's the graduate student, and then there's the undergrad, and the conversations are a little bit different. And I think Lenore Ryan, and I know, and you know this better than I do, is an elite D2 school that has tremendous alumni support, tremendous fan support, great facilities, great people, adults that are looking after the student athlete. So, jumping in the portal to test the market, and everybody's got their market value, right? Certain positions, if you watch the NFL draft, certain guys in the NFL draft are going to get paid more money, and there's going to be a need at the offensive line position, for example, versus another position. So everyone's got their market value, and, but leaving LR, everyone's got their journey and path, and I've had good conversations, but, I think there's some guys that are making calculated decisions that I hope they work out for them, and I wish them nothing but the best, to be honest with you.
You coached in the NFL, I guess, for that 1 year, and speaking of the NFL, and draft is coming up this week. Do you have any behind-the-scenes stories were you around to see how professional teams put together a draft board or prepare for the NFL draft?
Oh, it is a massive undertaking that, started a long, long time ago. And, I'll give you an example. We had some guys that are juniors that have one more year of eligibility that ran for the NFL scouts back in March. Mm-hmm. And that's really where the process starts. And certainly there's an accumulation of film. But I think when you really look at it, like what they're evaluating right now, this day and age with the amount of resources and technology, no one's getting slept on. No one's not getting seen. My office when I was with the Bills was right next to the personnel building or personnel offices. And, I watched how those guys work on a daily basis and how they evaluated, from the pro market of free agency all the way down to, the juniors that were rising juniors getting evaluated at D3 schools, D2 schools, D1 schools. Everyone's getting evaluated and everyone's getting a draft grade. So it's a massive undertaking. Certainly LR has proven to be able to put guys at the next level, obviously with Derek and Kyle Duggar, and I'm certain there'll be more to come. So no one's getting slept on. You got to put together the film, and then if you're a skill position, you better run really fast next spring, and if you're a line of scrimmage guy, you better dominate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Coach, I think the way that you're putting it together, you're finding we talked with Coach Todd Starkey, who was at Lenore-Ryan, women's basketball coach, who went to Kent State and is doing well up there. And he's kind of saying the same thing. You're able to get the kids that want to be there for the right reasons. Education, play for a championship, and understand that may be their complete future. Not that it has to be, but they kind of do a little better self-evaluation of where they are with their sports career. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think, I can tell you right now, there's a long life to live, and the NFL is not going to be there for your whole life. And if you get that opportunity, that's awesome. You can set yourself up. But, I think the big picture here is when I look at LR and I look at, the tradition and history, a major perk to come in LR other than the great education and people and playing for championships, the alumni base and the job opportunities and just to, dig into that alumni base that can help me find jobs and different opportunities to create my future beyond football is so, vast here. That's really been one of the more pleasant surprises that I've, I didn't understand until I got here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, what do you got coming up Saturday? Tell us about the big event you have coming up Saturday on campus.
I think, obviously there's a lot of different recruiting things going on. We've got some visitors coming in town, and, certainly this university has a ton of things going on. So, it'll be, for us, it's just, having some visitors come, check out the facility and everything that we've got, going on. And obviously then we've got our Win Together banquet, and it's a chance for this football team to celebrate, the 2023, accomplishments. And these guys have an awesome night together. Their families are going to be there. The administration will be there. There'll be alumni support, Bears Club members, and these guys are going to be presented, with their rings that they earned from 2023, which I know is so special. So I can't wait to be a part of that night. And, for me personally, I can't wait to meet a lot of the parents that I haven't had a chance to meet yet.
Coach, one final question. How's your right arm? I saw you threw out the first pitch at a baseball game recently, and then we had Coach Owen on last week, and he did the same thing. And who's got the better right arm?
Well, I think he kind of one-upped me a little bit. They told me not to go all the way up to the mound, and I stayed in front of the mound. I mean, I think velocity, it's probably all relative. I think mine, had a little bit more movement, but, my arm is not in any shape to do that thing again, but it was a lot of fun.
Coach, we appreciate your time as always, and we'll be talking with you again in the future.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Coach.
Guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. We
Saturday.
appreciate it. That's Coach Doug Sosha. He is head coach at Lenore-Ryan. So what's the thing coming up this weekend?
They're having a banquet to celebrate their 2023 season. They're going to hand out rings, and he's going to give a speech on the future of the program. He laid a little bit of it out there, and it's interesting to hear his philosophy on players, on whether or not because they've had since last week they're going to be losing 3 All-Americans, a defensive back, a linebacker, an all-conference lineman, and their second all-time leading rusher. But again, all those guys are seniors with that extra COVID year to go. They're either graduate transfers, they got one extra year of eligibility. They played their 4 years, but they got that extra year due to COVID. So again, it's some people's told me today they were surprised. I'm not as much surprised. Some of these kids that are leaving, I mean, they have a nice legacy. The running backs, one good year away from becoming the school's all-time leading rusher. But as you heard Coach say, that sometimes these kids they're thinking about other things. Maybe, they're looking for more NIL money. Maybe they're looking to pay off some bills down the line. They're, looking for a different path or a different journey. They gave their 4 years to LR or any other school. Now they're looking to go for that one final year of eligibility. Hey, let's try something different. Maybe that's it.
One of the points that I thought was excellent that he made that a lot of people forget about, and I think it depends on where you're from. Did you hear him mention that you really don't understand the contacts and the network that is built inside of Lenore-Ryan?
Yeah.
That can help assist you get your real career started.
Yeah, your life's work.
There's not a lot of Kyle Duggars hiding in the bushes.
No.
Okay?
No.
You know that like I do.
Oh, yeah.
And some of these guys may see that and think that they're the next Kyle Duggar.
There have only been 10 in that school that have ever gone on to the NFL.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think he's taking a much more realistic approach to it.
Absolutely.
And trying to talk to these kids and say, look, you're going to need a JOB. And it's not going to have anything to do with BALL. So, you better take advantage.
Yeah.
And I always thought those things were important to kids. I still look at college football, college sports in general, the old way. That it's not, can I make it to the show? It's more about how can I set my path to be a contributing member of society and earn a living and those kind of things.
You've given speeches before. I've given speeches for Hall of Fame things, and I always mention that, even for the LR Hall of Fame that I'll give a speech for, I'll say a lot of times at the college level, the people that you meet, you're forging friendships that last a lifetime. You're making connections and whatnot.
All my life, I've always heard you have friends in high school, but you meet your real friends in college.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You don't forget about those folks in high school, but it's a deeper bond for some reason, and maybe it's because you're more mature.
And I thought about this when I started hearing some of these guys that are transferring. Guys that around here that the older generation, guys that are even older than us, that went through.
There's people older than us?
Yeah,
okay.
that played at LR in the 60s or in the 60s and early 70s that stayed for 4 years. They were put through some adversity. They didn't necessarily always like the coach, who was a hard ass, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. But they stuck it through. Mm-hmm. And whenever they put this campaign together for this new football stadium a couple of years ago, guess where they went to get all their money from?
Oh, no.
Those guys that went through that are now much older, but their experience and their relationships and their memories of what it was like going back to college, that's who they went and talked to. I wonder if that's going to be lost when you hear, 20 years down the road. Some
only
of these
for
kids,
a short season.
Yeah.
Because as I said, I think all this fear of NIL and transfer and that type thing, it's going to wear itself out, except on the very top elite.
I agree. And it'll wear out this year because this is the last year for the COVID year.
And because, as Marty always said, he didn't take a whole lot of free agents because obviously there's a reason they couldn't get signed with the people that had them. There's something there. Either they couldn't come up with the money or they had some other issues that you're not aware of. And there's part of that with the portal. I understand kids that have eligibility left that maybe get in the portal because there's been a head coaching change. A lot of kids are recruited for specific responsibilities and positions. And if that coaching philosophy and foundation that this coach is going to run doesn't resemble the last one, and you're in one of those positions that's not going to be utilized, I understand that. And they should be able to see if they can find somewhere else to play to spotlight their talent. I get that. But just to transfer because you're not happy, well, Fort Rimmer talks about it all the time. That's what makes you the person you are, is
Yeah.
how you handle adversity.
Yeah,
it's
agreed.
not the good times doesn't make you anything. It's just like your successes don't make you. Your failures are what makes you,
Yeah.
because it teaches you how to deal with adversity.
And I'm not so sure if you look at it, and I'm sure nobody would go back and look at the numbers, but there's usually every year before the transfer portal, before NIL, there's usually a 30 to 40% turnover in roster in college football.
Yeah.
Each and every year.
They couldn't take advantage of the movement as early.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yes. I agree.
I agree. Thank you, sir.
Hey, that hour flew by quickly.
Well, that's because we suck. I couldn't get the thing on. Have a good one. We might talk to him Wednesday if people don't drive me crazy. See you guys.
All right, thank you.